Hello and good evening, everyone. Very pleased to welcome everyone for attending today's virtual information session. We've got a great session for everyone here today. We've got the Lamont Music School here to present and talk a little bit more about the opportunities that exist for students in regards to the music program here at DU. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen Campbell to talk a little bit more about the Lamont School of Music. Stephen?
Great, thank you, Will. Yeah, let me just pull up this slide. We're going to run through some slides for you tonight, and we'll try and do them fairly quickly so we have time for questions at the end. All right. So what we're going to do in this session is we're going to cover why would you study music? Why would you even do that thing? Some career paths that you can pursue after you graduate with a degree in music. We'll talk about the Lamont School of Music just broadly, share some facts about us. We'll talk about the programs and areas of study that we offer, opportunities for non-majors, which I know many of you may fall into that category, the ensembles we offer, how do you audition, and then how do you connect with us? And then, like I say, hopefully we'll have a chance to have some questions there at the end. On this call with me today, I'm the Director of Admission for Lamont. Andrew Furtick is here as well. He's the enrollment specialist, and he and I are going to jump back and forth on our on the slides. And then Kevin Ostrowski is one of our current students who's going to answer a few questions near the end, and he'll be on hand for the Q&A as well if you have questions about what it's like to be a student at Lamont. So jumping right in, why would you study music? Honestly, the main answer to this question that we get from our applicants is that they simply cannot live without it. They can't picture themselves doing anything other than something in the musical world. So that's the main reason you'd study music, because you love it and you can't live without it. Beyond that, musical training really provides a ton of transferable skills beyond just needing or wanting to be a professional musician. We've listed a few here. This is not a comprehensive list, right? Rigor, discipline, patience, drive, focus, social and emotional intelligence. We know that music majors, or those who have achieved a music degree, are sought after by professional schools like med school, law school, and business school, largely because our curriculum, music curriculum in general, teaches these skills that then will make them viable candidates elsewhere. So, on that same path, within music, there are a ton of career paths. A lot of times, our students will come in and really have a somewhat narrow view of what you can do with a music degree. They think I'll perform and maybe I'll teach. Those are definitely some of the options, but there are even more that folks tend to miss. So we've listed some of the performance options there. Those are probably a little more obvious to you, although cruise industry one jumps out at me there. That's a great industry that you can make a fair amount of money being a musician in, which is great. Composing, not just for the concert hall, but film and TV, video games, commercials. Conducting, a lot of times folks will come and do an undergrad in a performance area and then go on to do grad work in a conducting area and kind of divert their path that way. Recording arts, as you'll see later, we offer a recording production program, not just in the performance area. So you can be sound designer, recording technician, and the like. And then scholarship, so be an academic. And musicology and ethnomusicology is kind of fancy words for music history. And music theory, excuse me. And then, of course, for Andrew and me, part of our lives as musicians is being in arts administration. So this is an absolutely viable career. Most of the folks that work at music schools have music degrees, and that's beyond music schools too. You can work in any of the arts outside of music. So I'm going to pass it over to Andrew here to run us through some of the facts about Lamont.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. So this year is a really exciting year for Lamont. We are celebrating our 100th anniversary. We've been a music school for 100 years. Can't believe it. And we've got some special events planned. So if you want to stream a concert, maybe you're in town, you want to come to a concert, let us know. We'd be happy to give you some information about that. We merged with DU about 20 years later from our founding. And we've been on campus at DU for several years now, since the building of the gorgeous Newman Center for the Performing Arts. This picture right here in front of you. Lamont has 270 music students. So That number is relatively small compared to other schools. We like to try to keep things small so that you have a lot of time with our faculty, lots of one-on-one time with faculty, and again, lots of performance opportunities. We have 300 plus performances a year, which is a major highlight for our students studying at Lamont. So if you're interested in performing, we'd love to have you there. Stephen, we'll go to the next slide. Yeah, thanks. So programs offered at Lamont, we have several degrees offered in music. We're really excited about a brand new degree we're offering this year. It's a non-auditioned music degree, the Bachelor of Arts in Music Studies. And then we have several other performance and recording and production, all of our Bachelor of Music degrees. The Bachelor of Arts degree is similar to the music studies, but applied music also includes lessons and ensembles. And then we also have several options for not a specific major, but a minor in music. So you take lessons and ensembles, some academic music courses, minor in ethnomusicology, and several graduate degrees as well. So we have several areas of musical study at Lamont. Some of the interesting ones, if you play an instrument already, you may see yours on the list here. But some of the interesting ones I always like to point out are organ. We have a gorgeous organ in one of our recital halls. And carillon, it's actually the golden spire on campus. You saw it in some of our slides in the intro. The carillon's the bell tower, so you could take lessons in carillon while at Lamont. So speaking of opportunities for non-majors, I'm going to pass it off to Stephen to chat about this slide.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, I know a lot of you in the audience are not music applicants, which is great. We still have a ton of opportunities for those of you who are not planning to major in music, or at least not make it your primary major. So there are a number of things you can participate in without any programmatic engagement. So you don't have to be a minor, for example, for these opportunities. So you can take lessons with graduate teaching assistants in a variety of areas. We list those every year. It does change every year, but we list those every year on our website. It's a 2-credit course. I mentioned it's taught by GTAs, and that's a great opportunity. That's for beginners or for folks who have been played in high school and just kind of want to keep their skills up. We also have a list of academic classes that are available to non-majors. Those are also listed on our website. They'll satisfy the AI Society requirements. So it's a common curriculum requirement for students. And you don't need permission. There are a lot of courses at Lamont that you can take, but you would need permission for from the faculty member. These that are listed on our website are open to all, so you do not need permission. We've listed a few of the kind of broad categories or examples there. More opportunities for non-majors. So that was the opportunity where you don't have to audition, you don't have to do anything, you just can enroll in those classes. We do have a minor in music. It does require an audition, but it is open to all DU students. It has a slightly higher curricular requirement, right? So 23 credits, typically over 2 years. You have lessons and ensembles, so that's the performance side. But you also have music theory, oral skills, musicology, and some electives. So it's a great opportunity for those of you that don't necessarily want to do the full-on major, but are interested in doing a minor in that program, a little more than just taking a class. We list music as a secondary major here. It's also, you can double major by using the Bachelor of Arts in Applied Music. That's the easiest way to do it currently. If you want to have performance as part of your program, that's a 70-credit program, and no matter what you're doing at the university, you can add that to what you're doing. And as Andrew mentioned, we added that Bachelor of Music in Music Studies. This is a great opportunity to get involved at Lamont in a different way. So we require auditions for all of our programs except the Music Studies BA. It's a slightly more academic program. There are ensembles required, but no specific ensembles. So you can do the number of ensembles that we offer that do not require proficiency on an instrument previous to starting. So there are a couple great options for you if you're looking at Lamont, wondering how to get involved, not sure you want to be a full-on performance major. Andrew, why don't you cover the auditioning element of our program?
Yeah, so I'm actually your contact for when you decide that you want to get involved at Lamont and you're trying to navigate that audition process. Send us an email at musicadmission@du.edu and I'll be the one who's putting you in touch with the faculty. Each area is going to have a different audition requirement. So if you're playing flute, you're going to be playing something else than the tuba players, for example. I'll be your point of contact for making sure that you know which ones are which. And we also have this all listed on our admission page of the Lamont website, du.edu/Lamont. Click the admission page, and then it'll go and show you all of the audition requirements for each area. All of the ensembles also audition every quarter, and they're not meant to be a barrier for entry if you play an instrument. We encourage you to come and audition for our ensembles, and there are several ensembles that don't require the audition. So we'd love to have you at Lamont regardless. All right, so we're going to invite Kevin Ostrowski on. He's a current student in composition in his senior year at Lamont.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, Kevin.
Uh, Hi. Okay, so why did you decide to go into music? Kind of like what Stephen was saying earlier, it has been a part of my life. It has been the main thing in my life since I can remember. I had a keyboard that my family bought when I was like 4, and I would just play these little, I would just make these little melodies and these little songs, and I've continued doing that up until this point. So, yeah, I don't know. It's always been a part of my life, just like I'm sure it's been a part of a lot of y'all's. Why did I choose to come to DU in Lamont? Uh, so I'm from Houston, Texas, and my school district, had a college fair where I found the DU table, one of the admissions people, and I remember we had about like probably a 30-minute discussion just on like the jazz scene in Denver in general, but also like how good the uh, how good the jazz program is and just the music program in general is at DU. And also it's just a very beautiful location. Denver like has um, a lot of, like mountains. Houston has is just flat mostly, so it's very nice to walk outside and see elevation. Um, what does my weekly schedule look like? Uh, at the moment, very busy. I am always going from one thing to the next. I have currently, I'm technically taking 20 credits this quarter, which I'm auditing some, so I am at 18. But yeah, it's a lot of time spent in the music school. I'm a BM, a Bachelor of Music. That means about 2/3 of my um, class load comes from within Lamont, which is very nice because that gives me a lot of time to focus on the things I want to do, which is, performing piano and songwriting. Um, how would you describe the community at Lamont? I would describe the community at Lamont as pretty intimate, honestly. A lot of overlap between the different programs like classical and recording and production and jazz alike. Just a lot of uh, overlap. Like I've also had the ability to do um, different ensembles that I want to do that might not just be jazz. Like I've been in a classical sax quartet. I did that the first couple of years. I actually got into Lamont as a sax player, so for sax performance. So I have been, in a lot of different programs and seen a lot of different aspects of the school, and have been able to get a pretty diverse education because of it. So, um, yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
That's great. Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
And Kevin will stick around, like I mentioned, for the Q&A, which we're going to move into now. I think Will mentioned at the beginning, please use the chat function if you have questions to ask. It can be directed to me or to Andrew or to Kevin or to anybody. We can direct them as necessary. So please, I feel like we did a very good job of getting through those slides very quickly. So now we've opened it up to you. So please, please, please ask us some questions. . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . . . 。 . . 。 . . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . . 。 .
And maybe just to break the ice, I'll ask the first question to the group just to throw it out there and get the conversation going. Um, and feel free, Kevin, Stephen, Andrew, whatever insight you can provide, very much appreciated, I'm sure, by the participants here today. And it was a fantastic presentation. So, first question maybe could be in terms of for the music students specifically, can you maybe speak a little bit more about the experiential learning experience opportunities that exist both for current students and maybe as they transition out? We're obviously in Denver, a very strategically located place here in the state of Colorado, where you have students have access to a lot of different environments, whether it's the city environment, the local pubs, whatnot. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Kevin, maybe you
Definitely.
can hit your gig opportunities in particular. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, there are so many performing opportunities like multiple times a week. For what I do specifically, that is, gigging for jazz piano. I have multiple singers that I do regular gigs with at Dazzle, which is a jazz club in kind of in the middle of the city in Denver. It's not too far away. And then Nocturne as well. There are so many different venues and opportunities to play live music. Uh, that same goes with, classical performance. There are a lot of operas and like symphony performances that I've seen people get offered to students from other students or professors at the school. That's one of the main things that makes Lamont so good is just the web of connections you immediately have once you're there. Um, and even like, I mean, like being social is good, but it like things just kind of come to you when you put yourself and you surround yourself with other musicians who are always being professional musicians like day to day. So
Actually, Kevin, I don't know if you want to. There's a question in the Q&A about the jazz and commercial music major. So why do we call it jazz and commercial music? And if you have any thoughts on the balance between the two and the access to those various genres within that major.
definitely. Yes. So it is the commercial music aspect of it is one that is kind of newer to Lamont. Like when I was a freshman, the department was very it was more a lot more jazz centric. But since we've gotten newer faculty members who are really into kind of like a more like a more broad approach to what it means to just be a performing musician, and also just kind of adapting to what the students prefer. There are a lot of opportunities to do more commercial music opportunities, which is basically just any music that people listen to today that isn't jazz or classical, which is so many things, you know.
Mhm.
So it's very important that we have that here, just because it is such a big part of the music world, like every like that encompasses so many things. And a lot of those things could be, classical adjacent or jazz adjacent. All of these are just words. And yeah, I think I think it's really good. I have had two commercial music bands start from the uh, from DU, from the Lamont program. Like uh, we started our ensemble through Lamont, and then that gave us 4 hours through Lamont to work and write songs and perform together. And I think that really benefits a band to be able to have the ability to do that and record as well. We have very high quality recording studios where we're able to record albums and singles and whatever we need. With so many, like we have a grand piano in there, we have just we have roads that you can use. Like it's pretty crazy the amount of resources we have, and I don't even know the full extent of mixing material, like supplies we have, just because of my lack of recording and production knowledge. But yeah, we have just a lot of resources in that department. So yeah, jazz and commercial music. It's like kind of the same department, and you'll get a pretty diverse education in both. And if you have if you have preferences over one or the other, then that'll kind of show in what your ensembles are. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. There are a few questions in here related to double majors, so I'm going to combine them a little bit. The first one is it possible to do a Bachelor of Music with a second major in the School of Humanities, Social Sciences? And the answer is yes, broadly speaking. The Bachelor of Music is fairly intense. There are electives built in that can accommodate a minor, and then you could push that a little further to do a secondary major in one of those humanities that you mentioned. The secondary major versus double major thing is a bit of a DU vernacular. So quickly laying it out is a Bachelor of Music degree is what we call a specialized degree, just meaning that there's a really high percentage of credits in the major, like Kevin mentioned. And for us, the Bachelor of Music is like 70% in the major. And so you can't really do a double major because the major is bachelor, it's a Bachelor of Music, and that's the only category for those types of majors. Whereas if you're in a Bachelor of Arts degree, there are multiple majors that fit under the umbrella of Bachelor of Arts. So if you do a Bachelor of Arts in Music and a Bachelor of Arts in English, it's a double major because it's Bachelor of Arts. If you do a Bachelor of Music in Performance and a Bachelor of Arts in English, they'd call it a secondary major. You take the English major and you kind of insert it into the specialized degree. So it's a little harder. It's certainly more credits overall, but it's definitely doable. We have students that do that. And what I always advise is start it that way. Do the Bachelor of Music, add the double if you'd like, or the secondary if you'd like. If it is too intense, you drop down to a Bachelor of Arts in Music, or in this case, Applied Music, and a Bachelor of Arts in English, and that's just a little bit easier to do. And then there was another one about double majoring in string performance and music history. Music history is not an undergrad major in and of itself. It's built into the Bachelor of Music and Bachelor of Arts degrees. So you'll do a ton of music history just simply as a string performance major. We do have a Master of Arts in musicology or music history. So we do have students that will do an undergrad Bachelor of Music and Performance and then go on to do the Master of Arts in musicology. But so you don't need the double major, it'll be built in. And if you're really interested in it, you can do even more. You can take more music history credits or musicology credits as an undergrad. And then if you're really interested in it, you'll go on and do a master's or even a PhD in that. I think that was all the double major questions. Great.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. So I'm going to jump in and answer the question about the orchestra. So Lamont has one orchestra, the Lamont Symphony Orchestra, just like we have one wind ensemble, the Lamont's wind ensemble, one large jazz ensemble, and all of these ensembles perform 2 to 3 times per quarter. Lamont and DU are on the quarter system. So the cool part about that as a musician is there's a lot more opportunities to perform than on the semester system. So if you're in a semester and you have 2, maybe 3 performances in orchestra per semester, that's 4-ish performances a year. As opposed to Lamont, you have 2, maybe 3 concerts per quarter. Add another term on top of that. You're learning more music, you're getting more exposure on the stage, you're feeling more comfortable on stage. It's just a win-win for musicians, and it's a really exciting way to go about a degree for sure. Scrolling down to harp performance, speaking of the orchestra and also the wind ensemble, harp players perform in both of those ensembles regularly. We also have chamber music as part of our curriculum. So all of our musicians are participating in small groups, and that's going to be a really important part of your degree here at Lamont. I'm going to move over to the question about career opportunities. So one of the cool parts about being in a small program is that you have a lot of opportunities to make connections with faculty members and to create a really great relationship with them. So one of the ways that our faculty helps set up students for careers post-Lamont are those connections that they're building. So it's not uncommon that for orchestral players, students of people at Lamont who also play in the Colorado Symphony Orchestra end up getting called to sub in that orchestra. So they're performing that way. Many of our faculty members are on faculty for summer music festivals. So it's not uncommon that Lamont students have a year at Lamont, and then during the summer they go play in the Aspen Music Festival or Yellow Barn Composing Music Festival. Like all of these things are kind of built into those connections that you're building with faculty. And then also because you're in a small, pretty flexible environment within Lamont, you're making connections with other students while you're at DU. And the cool part about that, like one of the slides had a picture of a band performing. Their name is Mama Magnolia. They all met at Lamont. They formed a band. They're touring nationally, and they just released their third album. So the connections you're building within Lamont's halls and on our stages are going to serve you really well in your career post graduation.
And I'd add to that, Andrew, that it's just a reminder that Lamont is part of the University of Denver. So all of the resources related to career preparation and career support that DU offers, a robust career services center, those are all open to Lamont students. And in fact, we often partner with them. We meet every year to talk about how that center can support kind of the music side of things because it is such a specific career. But it's a great set of resources that Lamont students have access to and take advantage of. Um, so let's see, there's a question about voice emphasis, vocal performance degree. So yeah, Christy, so you auditioned for that program. We are finishing up our auditions for fall right now. That doesn't mean you can't still audition for us. If you're local, we can set up a time for you to sing for the faculty at the Newman Center. Andrew mentioned he can help you set that up. We also accept recorded auditions from all students at the undergraduate level. So if coming out and auditioning in person isn't a possibility, then you can send a video. If you end up coming to DU, like you applied to a non-music major and you come to DU in that major, you can audition for us when you arrive. Come down in the fall, we'll set you up with an in-person audition while you're there, and you can go about it that way. Once you pass the audition, then you have some options about how to add that program. I mentioned a little about the double major earlier, so I won't rehash that there. But there is if you audition now and you switch majors, that goes through admission. If you come through and you decide to attend DU and you come in the fall, then we have a form, a change of major or an add a major form that we can walk you through. In terms of musical theater, it is not an active program. We have a musical theater track within our voice program that just adds some stage movement and some acting classes. We don't have a dance program at DU, so if you're looking for that kind of triple threat musical theater program where it's equal parts acting, dance, and singing, that's really not our program. Ours is much more classically focused. It's going to be a really solid singing technique that then, of course, you can transfer over to more musical theater singing. We do a little more crossover type singing, or what once was called legit musical theater, right? It's classically produced musical theater. Think like Oklahoma, or there was a picture about South Pacific on there. It's going to be more of that style. It is super common, though, for our classical voice students to perform musical theater in the community. Denver has a wonderful musical theater community, lots of opportunities and outlets there. Let's see. Oh, do we have time, William, or do we need to?
I can
I think we have time
Go
for
ahead.
one more question. Yep.
Yeah, I can answer the incoming freshman coming into what should an incoming freshman coming into the jazz program expect on a musical level, or what types of things may be required? So I actually came into the program like with the basics of like jazz fundamentals. I was like I'm classically trained saxophone player because of my like high school upbringing. Um, as well as like marching band. So I had lessons for jazz with my teacher where I learned, the swing feel and like, some like basic theory like the blues and played a couple standards. But I don't know. I feel like I still had a lot to learn when I came here as a freshman. Some of those things that I had to learn pretty quickly were like ear training, being able to, pick up what other people are playing just by not getting away from like reading sheet music. A lot of the times in jazz performance classes and gigs, you have to play by memory. You need to or any type of, not even just jazz, but also like commercial music. You need to know it in your heart, and sometimes in that context, you need to get away from sheet music, and that's something that isn't like 100% a necessity once you get here, but it's pretty good to know. Hmm. That's kind of the main thing. Just also time. I mean, this is more broad, but just having like good time management. You're being thrown into a pretty busy and quick quarter system where you have juries that you need to like, do a transcription or memorize this many tunes. So you need to have, time to consistently practice. I'm not talking like 9 hours a day or anything crazy. I'm just talking like I think, being able to consistently do uh, as hour 2 hour sessions in a day while balancing schoolwork and everything that you have in your life. I think that's something that you should definitely keep in mind. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to thank all of our panelists here today. That's all the time we have, unfortunately, to answer questions. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your correct counselor point of contact. I dropped in the chat here a link where all of our participants here today can actually find their specific point of contact, and they will be able to redirect you to Stephen or any of our panelists here today. So with that, I want to thank our panelists for taking time out of their evening, outside work hours to put this together. And uh, thank you so much for attending, and have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.